Hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Video Mastermind, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry, technology, and services to help you create more videos to use in your mortgage business. Well, hello there. Happy Friday, September 10th. And welcome to another episode of Mortgage Video Mastermind. My name is Ginger Bell. I have with me our usual suspect, Scott Sheng, Find My Way Home, and Jason Frazier, EPM. Glad to have you on board today.
And it's Jason's
absolutely.
fault.
It's, blame it on Frazier. That's the whole thing. Yeah, that's where we're going. And then our special guest today is Alec Hansen, who's the Senior Vice President for loanDepot. So thanks for hopping on. We're excited to have you to share so much of what you're doing. And, before we went live, I shared, thanks for sharing. And that's really the whole thing. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching, a rerun of it, share your videos. That's the reason that we started the whole Mortgage Video Mastermind group, is to be able to have a safe place to share videos, to say, what do you think? Does the background work? Does the lighting work? Does my video work? How do I come up with topics? All of those kind of things are important. So, Alex, you have an incredible knack for creativity, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about your videos. In fact, I just posted a video that you just put out about you're saving like a dog in a tree. And honestly, for some people, they're just like, I don't even know how I can turn the camera on. So how are you coming up with your ideas? What are you doing as far as your creativity?
Well, it helps that if you're a nerd inside your heart, come up with nerdy ideas. I just had, I've been following Jason, a lot of people, great people for a long time. And one of the things that really resonated with me over time was just the posturing that people think they need to do on video. Like, you need to show up as somebody else. You need to have this type of charisma or attitude or like online flex or whatever it is. And really, I think that the core of this stuff is just to let that go and just to be who you are. Number one, you're going to attract the audience that's into that. The people, you don't come across as fake. And so I like to have fun. I like to goof around. Normally when I'm filming videos, it's a lot of laughter and we're having just a great time. And I think that kind of cuts through the noise. And makes your message land a little more cohesively when you just be yourself. And whether that's being silly or whether that's being serious, I think that if there are a bunch of people out there who are, I would call them like an engineer brain, and who are super serious and focused and like numbers, and they should be that person on the internet too, because there's tons of people that love that style too.
So resonate to really who you are. So I want to talk about, coming up with these ideas and kind of the process that you have for that.
Yeah.
Do you plan out for like a month in advance, a week in advance? Are you kind of on the fly? Is it what you feel? Where are you at with that?
No. So it's going to sound super, super magical, but it's like a Google Excel drive, Google Doc. And I literally just put up subtopics and ideas and just start filling it out. And I started this process. So you have to go back in time a little bit, Ginger, when I wasn't doing any marketing, using social media at all as a tool for connection. I was just kind of had the platforms, and probably about 2 years ago. And then I realized, watching, again, leaders like Jason and people putting themselves out there going, hey, well, this is really important. This really matters from a branding perspective. This really matters. The local professional is going to get just destroyed by these mega brands who don't care and want to kind of devalue the consultative wisdom of a local pro. And so, but I wasn't out there myself. So I was coaching loan officers. I run a pretty large division. We're going to do $8 billion this year. And I was not doing anything myself. So I'm like, I'm a huge hypocrite. I'm like, hey, you guys get in the social media space, and I'm not doing anything.
Right.
So I started 100 videos in 100 days as kind of a chance to try to push myself out there. Oh, what's up, Carl? And literally all I did was put up a Google Drive doc and start putting up topics and putting up what I wanted to talk about, what mattered to me, what I thought was important, and just filling out the drive. And real quickly, for what everybody does when you get into this space, is you realize there is so much to talk about.
Yeah.
There is not a lack of content. There is so many things you can talk about. It's infinite. And you can repeat things. You can go back and talk about points and fees again, because people still don't know what's going on with loans. So I think that it really opened my eyes up. There is no magical thing. You do have to have intentionality to think about it. And I never encourage people to go like totally off the fly. But I want them to be thoughtful and organic, but you can still like put stuff on a whiteboard and come up with ideas that represent who you are.
So real quick, Alec, you did 100 videos in 100 days, and you didn't do a ton of video before that?
I was doing nothing on the internet to build brand, to talk about what I care about, my viewpoints, leadership, nothing. So
about how many through the 100 until you kind of felt like, okay, I'm feeling like I'm starting to get this? Because we always talk about getting past the suck. You're going to suck on your first video and you just got to power through it. So what did that look like for you? I
will never do 100 and 100 again. It was terrible. I'm putting out way more content now with different strategies, but this was an intentional, and by the way, this is a funny side note. So I built my Excel doc and I put like 40 topics up in 30 minutes. And I was like, holy crap, dude, I can get 100, no problem. Well, no, it turns out like 40 was like all I had. It's like, oh no, I'm screwed. But then to your point, Scott, you push through and then you figure out, oh no, there's a million things and all of it starts to flow. And so, yeah, it's grinding, but then, you don't do it all on one day. So like I would joke, they're like, how'd you do it? I'm like, I cut out 30 minutes on certain days. I had 6 different t-shirts on a clothing rack and I'd film the video and then I'd change t-shirts and I'd film it and I'd put it in Dropbox and then I'd post it the day of. Like, don't expect to come in the day you're here and have the motivation to like do a video. So there's planning involved. But yeah, it was a suck. It was a grind, but I got used to being on camera, so much more comfortable on camera.
Yeah.
I saw a great interview with Stephen King one time. I mean, you talk about somebody puts out, content. Stephen King just writes just phenomenal amount of books, and they're not thin books either. No. And somebody asked me, said, how do you write so much? He says, well, I only write when I feel like it, but I feel like it Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. I sit down at the desk at 9 a.m. and I start writing, and at 2, I don't feel like it anymore per se. And I think you're on the money there, Alec. You just put it in the calendar. Like what I do is I'll get ideas, throughout the week or the day or something like that. And I'll jot them down on a note real quick, or sometimes I'll do a little recording to myself.
Absolutely.
And then I'm blanked out next Tuesday for 2 hours. I'm going into the little room I shoot my videos in. Yes. And I grab my little cheat sheet and I go, all right, what was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, that one. And then I record that one. And then I'll look at my cheat sheet. No, that doesn't sound like a great idea now that I'm reading it the second time, and I look at the next one. All right, that's good. And I just blank out like 15 minutes or 30 minutes or however long. And I'll shoot, in my case, I'll shoot like literally a month of videos in about a 2-hour period. And then I'm done for the month.
The other thing too that I've realized, and I can tell people that do video realize, is we're so hypercritical of ourselves. And that will stop us from posting things or sharing thoughts because we're like, oh, that's crappy, no one cares. And I have to tell you, some of the videos in my 100 series where I was like, this is garbage, but like I have to post it today. I filmed it and I rewatched it and I was like, ew. Actually landed with somebody in a really authentic way, and I got a private message from him like, hey, I needed to hear this today. Thanks, that was rad. And I was like, wow, I thought that was trash. So we have to give ourselves some space, and we have to realize we're not famous, so not everybody cares. I know that's a weird thing to say, but it's like, just because Alec's live, like, doesn't mean everyone's watching. Oh crap! Like it. So you just got to have a little bit of grace for yourself. And my buddy who was kind of consulting me on the side on this when I was getting started, he had this saying. He goes, just send it, just ship it, send it, ship it. And I'm like, okay. So sometimes it's like, just ship it. Get it out.
That's so important. We tell our clients, shoot and send, shoot and send. Don't watch it. Don't look at it. Just shoot it and send it.
Another thing that I really liked about what you do, Alec, is you do these really great, like, produced videos. Sure. But you also do a lot of live stream and a lot of unproduced content out there as well. Did you start that like after you started doing the production video? So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't always have to be this one type of video.
No,
you're doing all these different ways of using it, and it's great.
Yeah, I didn't step into highly produced videos until I want to say a few months ago. So before that, it was just myself. I was just using things like Canva, using StreamYard like we're on right now, using a really cool app on my phone called Video Easy, which does jump cutting, and you can add GIFs and overlays and sound. Because I don't know, I'm not techie. Like I'm techie, but I can't edit video. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I was just kind of figuring it out and self-teaching, and you guys know, I mean, some of the best videos that people do are the raw, authentic. Here's my selfie. I'm talking, and I think that high production videos has a place, but I don't think it's if you can't do that, then you're screwed. I actually would say the other way is arguably more important.
I agree with that. That's something that, I've looked on a lot of data. So it's like when I talk to loan officers and I talk about the videos they're doing on social media, is I always say, do it vertically. Because at the end of the day, it looks, people watch stories. And when you do a vertical video, there's, a few reasons for that. One is that it's mostly mobile that it's being consumed on. So if you do a vertical, it takes up most of the screen in the feed. And then when you tap on it, it's 100% of your screen. Right. And so that's there's data behind that, and then they've done like the comparisons, and it's not even in the ballpark. The vertical videos by like 80% get viewed more than the ones when you're trying to do, like you were talking about with the high production. But I get everything that Alex said. I did I think it was like 2 years ago, I did like, hey, it was like mid-November, I'm like, hey, join me on a video challenge, let's do a video a day until the new year comes up. And I did the exact same thing Alex did. I'm like, oh, no problem. I talk about stuff all the time, and I start, but like, literally, and I didn't even get to 40. I think I got to like 28, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to, but the beauty about social media is that you always get ideas. Like, I just had to go into a Facebook group for like, a couple hours, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I can talk about all of this stuff. So, but yeah, don't overthink it, and just do it. But also don't worry about the production value. At the end of the day, as long as your content is good, it doesn't really matter.
And Fraser, as you're saying that, and you and Alec talking about production quality per se, or certainly in my case, lack thereof. I'm reminded that, like, you take one of the most successful sitcoms on TV of all times, The Office. The whole series was shot with jiggly cameras, and,
yeah.
And even though it was an actual TV show, they gave it the appearance of being jiggly. And frankly, that was the geniusness of the show. If it had been a well-produced, standardizing, zooming in and zooming out and phasing in and it wouldn't have been a hit. The reason it was a hit was the nature of its rawness. That's the whole success of The Office. So I think people, one thing I found early in the game when I was doing videos was that if I try to be CNN or ESPN or Fox or, they're not going to start comparing me to those people. And that's not going to bode very well for Carl, right? Because I'm just not that person, right? They're extremely polished and 3-piece suits, and that's not who I am as a person. And so I found the rawness of it, and not trying to look like a pro, just look like, hey, I'm just your dude next door, just trying to help you out a little bit. That really works well.
Yeah.
I would also build on what Fraser said too. As long as the content is good. If you think it's good, it's good. I mean, like, if you think, hey, this is interesting, I'd want to share this. Like, if you would share this with your friend or somebody who's next to you, good is relative. And there's a certain amount of, when you put anything out there, the overwhelming, what is public speaking is number 2 to death, like of people's fears. It's like just putting it out there. People are going to say, wow, I wish I could do that. Good does not have to be Alec. You don't have to be Alec to put something good out there. You just have to have something that you think is going to be valuable that you want to share, and just throw it out there. It's not all going to hit. And Alec, it's funny because, when you say, it might be crap, I did it back in the day. I did a ton of webinars, and the ones that I felt like, oh man, that one was just junk. I didn't feel great on it. Those always seem to get the most response and the most engagement because they were the most raw. And there really is something to just getting out there and doing it. The audience is already going to be 90% impressed by the fact that you posted it.
I always relate it, Scott, to, I was a street originator in the early 2000s when I started. And I would go to open houses and broker previews and meet realtors and walk in there and shake hands and kiss babies. And that's how I built my business, because that's what I was trained to do by a great mentor. And so, I was like, can I miss a weekend and not go visit these guys? And he's like, yeah, you can if you want your competition to go in there and meet them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can take days off if you want your competition to be in there meeting agents and building relationships. And I was like, that's a good point. If the game is building relationships, I need to show up all the time. Well, hello, Epiphany. Now we get to do that right here all the time. We get a chance to show up, share our message, share our heart, share our viewpoints, build our brand. And if we don't, we're relegating it to somebody else who's doing it, whether it's a mega brand or a competitor, a local competitor who's doing the same thing. And so to me, it was a no-brainer. It was like, oh, wow, yeah, no, this really matters. I need to show up. I need to share my viewpoint. I need to be in front with my customers and, be engaged in their lives. It was like a very aha moment for me that this is the same game, relationship building, that it was when we didn't have this stuff.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because, people are saying, okay, if I do videos, how long before I start seeing some kind of a return on it, and it's like, and obviously with Kyle, Seagraves we've had on, and it took him 2 years before he started really seeing a lot of return on it. And that's not the reason why he started doing it. But let me ask you that. What kind of return have you seen on it? And how long before you started saying, hey, this is working?
So I get this question from loan officers all the time. And so I always ask, well, when you met that first realtor and you walked in there and you introduced yourself, how long did it take you to earn their business? It's the same correlation. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's 2 years.
Right.
Yep.
But you have to understand that this is a long game, and that's why people don't do it. That's why they fail. That's why they come in and out. But this is the long game. If I ask you to name an insurance company, the one that's going to pop into your head is the one that's been beating you in the face with marketing for years, and you may not even use them.
Yeah.
So I have to really help people understand that this is building a brand or a reputation or a connection to another person or a relationship is time and effort and intentionality.
But Alec, though, I'm sitting here thinking about it. So when I first started, I think we can have results like right away.
I agree.
Yeah. So the amount of people that I posted a video and then they reached out, Carl, I want you to do all my loans now. That didn't happen for quite a while, right?
Yes.
6 months, whatever. But what I found was when I started doing videos, and then I went to the Realtors Association, and then I went to, say, an open house, and then I filled out a pre-approval and called up the listing agent, to get them to take our offer. And, they would go, I know you, where do I know you from? And so I found, let's call it collateral greatness or whatever. I don't know if that's not a good word, I guess, but you know what I mean? Like that.
Totally.
The collateral effect of it, it was pretty fast for me. It was, and it didn't happen every time, every day. Of course not, but it happened.
You're nailing it, Carl. And using my analogy of the real estate, building it, like trying to get a relationship with a realtor. If I'm seeing them once a week or once a month, but at the same time, like if I'm Carl and they're seeing me on the internet and they're seeing me in their feed and they're seeing me hustling and caring for people and telling stories and having fun, man, you're building that relationship so much faster. Game changer. So it's you nailed it, Carl. That's exactly what does happen is you're building it faster. It's just on rocket boosters.
Yeah. The way I like to describe it is every time you publish content, you're cloning yourself and you're building an army of clones of yous out there, creating this engagement, building awareness and earning trust. And so when people encounter you, they always say like I've had people come up to me in conferences and I say, oh, hey, Scott, how you doing? I watched all your videos. And I'm like, oh, wow, cool. That's nice to meet you. It's like they feel like they know you.
Yeah.
Because they do, because they encountered one of your clones. They had a one-way conversation. You talked to them and they felt like they know you, and now they can approach you and there's a relationship there. And it lives on forever because it's on the internet.
And Scott, this goes exactly back to what Ginger and Carl were talking about. If you're showing up with a 3-piece suit on and being Mr. CNN guy, they don't know you. That you're putting on a fake persona. You're not really your authentic self.
Yep.
And people think they need to do that on the internet or on video because it's intimidating and they feel like they have to have a persona. But as Ginger and Carl were talking about, that's the tripping block. Like, don't do that. Otherwise, they don't know you. and you should give them a chance to get to know you.
Yeah, and also building on Carl's point, you have transactional and you have informational videos. There's some videos it's okay not to sell, just to go out there and give away good information. And then there's some videos where, there may be a more specific call to action. Maybe there's a new guideline change that is going to impact a bunch of people. Hey, I just want to pop on and let you know this is going to impact a bunch of people. But they don't all have to be that.
Well, and I think the key too is, number one, have a plan. So like what you said, Alec, it's like I had a spreadsheet. I just threw down topics, and it's like, you don't have to sort through it, but it's like, just get started with it. And then if it takes the challenge, then do the challenge. I've been watching all the 75 hard, and Fraser, I know you've done it. Carl, you've got a group in the Freedom Club that's doing it now. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to do a 75 hard for video. And so Adrienne and I are having a call next week.
Wait.
Map it out.
I'm just, and maybe this is better offline call. I would call it 75 easy.
Oh, I like that.
I love that.
That's better. Okay, Carl, you're on board for the 75 easy. Alec, you're on board. Fraser, we're going to blame the whole thing on you anyway.
Yeah, might as well.
I know you're on board. And Scott, I know you're on board. But really, and I think it's just a matter of, okay, if that's what it takes as a challenge, then let's do it. And it doesn't have to be this super complicated thing and to get started on it. So first get started, get over yourself, get started. Come up with your topics, do that. Carl, I came up with 52 topics. We're coming up with one next year as far as our video planner.
Yeah, we needed more than 52. Right?
Yeah, well, but then the other thing is sharing it. So Alec, obviously you have it on Facebook, you're posting it on your social media. How else are you using your video besides social media?
I email. Shocking. I know that's crazy, but it's like, don't expect everybody to sit there and be stoked you put a video out and be waiting for you.
You take the link from YouTube or from Vimeo and then you share it.
Yep, I thumbnail it and put it in an email and share it out to my community and let them know what's going on.
How about phone calls? Are you calling people and saying, hey, can I send you a video?
It depends. So like I will do that one-on-one stuff when I'm talking to a recruit or a existing loan officer at the company who's like, hey, XYZ. And I go, let me send you a video on that. I have thought, because I put together a lot of videos that explain like how to set up your camera. I know that sounds stupid, but like, it's awesome. Like, how do you turn your camera on? What lighting do you recommend? What microphone should I get? And so I have a lot of like tactical videos, and I'll fire those off to people on a one-to-one basis. But we have to realize that the video content we do and the social media position it has in the world is mostly just a very quick impression. Most people, even if it's a minute video, because even my highly produced ones are a minute, and I know people are dropping off in 10 seconds. It's just nature, because they got stuff going on. They're more important. I am an extra in their movie of their life. So I'm right there. I'm an impression. But those impressions over time make meaningful impact. And as everyone's saying, and you've heard it over and over again, you get that, like Scott's comment, the I know you. And then this is a little bit can be challenging, but they decide if they like you or not. Because we have to admit, like, we have friends and we have people that just turn us off in the world. And that's just normal. So you're not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. But you are a bunch of people's cup of tea, which is cool. And the more you get into that flavor, they find you, they connect with you, they sync up with you, and you kind of build, people call it a tribe or whatever, but you kind of build a cool digital community. And people that don't like it, don't get your vibe, they self-select out. Like, they don't sit there and just talk trash and be a troll. They don't. They really just leave.
Yeah, and they'll never walk up to you at a conference and say, I hated all of your videos. That doesn't happen.
And if it does, we're going to blame Fraser for it.
That doesn't happen to you.
It happens to me all the time.
Oh my God, Jason. Of course.
I get that. But one thing I wanted to, Alec hit on two points, and it's something that I call AIR, right? So it's attention, impact, and relevancy, right? And so obviously doing grabbing attention is one thing. But you also got to make an impact, but you got to grab their attention first before you can make an impact. And then that leads to relevancy, right? Because if you're not known, you're not relevant. And in the noisy digital social media on-demand world that we're in right now, you have to be known, right? Because if you're not, it doesn't matter how great you are at anything. If they don't know you, it just does not matter. And so that's, the importance of video as being definitely like one of those branches off of like the omni-channel tree that you're creating with the personal brand, is that one is you could reach so many people at any given time, grab their attention and make an impact. Like Alex said, when someone reached out saying, hey, I needed to hear this today, right? Because then maybe that person saw just seeing the feed, saw Alex videos, scrolled through because it wasn't anything he cared about at that time. But at that one moment it did. And now probably forever, Alec will be relevant to that person. Right. And whether it's a competitor or not, but like, I'm telling you, that's how I built my entire personal brand going back to 2016. And then it took about 2 years to really get to where I thought it was, somewhat of a success. Or at least it at least resulted in what I wanted it to do. But it was all through that. And so I think that's what everyone needs to understand, is that, like Alex said, it's a long game. It's not just about attention or awareness, but it's about making an impact. And then that leads to relevancy, which could open up so many different doors for your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that attention, impact, and relevance.
I'm going to swipe that. I got an article I'm writing for the Scotsman.
I'm blaming Fraser for this one.
Yeah, please. I'll take it. I'll take that blame.
That's a good thing. And
something I saw this probably about 5, and we might have mentioned this before, I'm not sure, but about 5 months ago, something happened for the first time in mankind. And that something was that more people saw video on this in minutes or hours for the entire month than they did on their TV screen. So the average person, I think it was like 5 months ago, for the first time ever, more video was seen on their mobile device than is now seen, and it's happened every month since then. Right? That's not going down, that's going up. So this is the new TV screen. And when you and I and Ginger and Scott and Al, as you're watching this, when you're on this, you now are the Tom Hanks or the Tom Cruise or the, insert in name. Like it's just instant celebrity. And man, when you talk about being perfect, I mean, God knows I'm far from it. And CeeLo Green said something one time I really latched on to. He said, God made us all imperfect, but in a perfect way. And I went, we're imperfectly perfect. And I really, really like that. So it goes back to what you were saying, Alec. Not everybody's going to, latch on to who you are, what you're saying. Actually, I found it to be about 25%. Well, about 25% will love you no matter what you do. About 25% won't like you no matter what. You throw gold coins at them and they complain that you're throwing something at them. Right. And the other 50% on the fence, and the secret to life is go after that 25% there very rapidly and be cool with the 75%, but spend your time with the 25%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can't close off without asking Alec, what's your setup right now? What are you using for your camera there? Is that mirrorless DSLR?
Yeah, it's a Canon DSLR with a really nice lens, and I can tell you that I justified all of this tech purchase because I used to wear really nice suits, and that was kind of my brand, was really nice suits. And I spent a lot of money on suits, and if you buy a custom suit, you guys know that they can get real pricey real fast. But I can tell you what, this camera and lens are going to last a lot longer than that suit will. And when I gained a bunch of weight through COVID, it doesn't matter. This camera's still looking good. The suit's in the trash now. I can't fit in that anymore, but everything else is good. And so, but at the same time, I say all that and I want to give a little bit of a space for people because this thing is an incredible camera. Camera. So, there's so many excuses of like, I don't have a nice camera or microphone. And I'm like, you have $1,000 camera in your pocket. That's really good. So just put some light in your face.
100% of my videos, like literally 100% of my videos are shot on this phone.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. So I'm like, just put light here and not here and put the thing, you're good. So I don't know. I have nice gear, but I geek out on it. And for me, I'm happy with nice gear. I didn't buy it because I felt I needed it. But I tell people all the time, man, you got a great device in your pocket.
That's right.
So Ginger, when does I got the name for it, man. Here's the name. It's the 75 Ginger Makes It Easy video challenge.
Well, I think I don't want it, and I don't want ownership of it. I want everyone to be able to grab onto it. So I love the 75 Easy. And like I said, Adriana and I, because she was the one that started the 75 Hard Challenge in your Freedom Club group. And so she and I were working on a video project together. And I'm like, Adriana, we need to do the 75 Hard for video. Because everyone's like saying, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. An example. So Danny Ruiz, who's in your group, who speaks Spanish, and we were doing Spanish videos, and he calls me, he goes, I don't have time for this, Ginger. I can't do video. I can't do video. He said, I'm not letting you quit. I said, Danny, you're not quitting, and I'm not letting you quit. I said, you and I are going to do a call once a month. You and I are going to record video once a month. He and I got together. We did a 30-minute call last week. I threw him just topics. I said, okay, tell me about, what they need to do for a gift letter. And he started out in Spanish immediately, hola. And it's like, I didn't understand a word he was saying. It didn't matter. I was recording it. We got 4 videos done for him for the month. And then my team edits and produces it. And we're doing that. And we have the transcript, in Spanish and everything underneath. But it's like he was ready to quit. And it's like, don't quit. So, and I think that 75 Easy, it's like, coming up, what is that? What is that commitment? And I think it's more than just doing a video. I think it is coming up with the topics, like Alec, like what you said, and understanding that it's okay not to be perfect. How to post it, where to post it. When we started getting into helping LOs do videos, we did the first one for Andrew. Great. It was on a VA COVID Earl update that was out. And I said, okay, now post it on your social media. He's like, I don't know how to post it on social media. I'm like, okay, let's, learn how to post it on social media. I mean, it's like whatever that is. So we'll figure it out. I know I can count on you guys to join in. And so I think, the 75 Easy way to video might be what it is. Something like that. But, it all just kind of begins with that, the AIR, Jason, attention, impact, and relevance, and doing that. So, Alec, thank you so much for joining.
This might sound cheesy, and I know you're such a humble person, Ginger, but I think, honest to gosh, how big of a fan I am of that book that you wrote. Man, there's 52 of the 75 right there. That's I honest to gosh, that's exactly. So I'm going to have a lot of my loan officers go through this challenge with you.
Okay.
That's what we're going to do is we're going to 52 of those 75s. Hell, you don't even have to think about it.
Well, and part of what I want to have, so, and we're going on beyond our time. So, it's like you guys get a bonus here as far as what we do for planning when we kind of go through this strategy. But one of the things that I want to have as part of the 75 Easy is not just what to do for video, but what to do with the video afterwards. Yeah. So, and I think that's the other thing. And Alec, I pushed you a little bit as far as what have you seen in your business, but, LOs are looking for reasons all the time to call their real estate agents. And video is a great reason to call a real estate agent. And so, in fact, that's one of the videos that I'm going to do over the weekend. And Carl, I'll post it in your group too, is a script that goes through how to call an LO, and it can be a cold call. It could be a warm call, whatever. I already have all the scripts for it. I did a webinar for it a couple weeks ago. But just going through, hey, Scott, you're a great real estate agent, and I know you're top in the area. And, I'm a great LO in the area. I think great people should know great people. But the reason I'm calling is because I just wanted to know, do you have buyers that ever, come to you and they're not really pre-qualified? They maybe have a pre-qual, but they're not really pre-approved. Do you ever have any buyers like that? And most real estate agents will say, oh, yeah, sure. Say, well, you know what? I just shot a video about that. And I don't know if you would find it helpful with any of your buyers or not, but, if you would, do you want me to send it to you? And get them to say yes. We always want the 3 yeses in sales, right? So that's how the script goes through. It's like, all those 3 yeses. I used to be a Dale Carnegie trainer. So it's like, I always bring all of those, those things in there. But then ask them, can I send you the video? And then send them the video. So that's what I want to have part of the 75 Easy Challenge, is not just the recording the videos, but then what are the things you need to do to go along with that. So it really goes into building their business. So part of that is that daily challenge as well. It's like, just like, Carl, how many calls do they need to make? Thor's hammer. It's like all of that philosophy. And I think when we get into a video philosophy of the whole thing, that's helpful for them to understand what it's about, because it truly is a video philosophy. I mean, that's it. Fraser, it's like what you did in your business.
So this is, you're going to teach them, you're going to show them on the 75 Easy thing. You're going to show them how to build the car and then how to drive it. I like that. That's great.
And how to drive it fast if they want to drive it fast, and how to drive it in the rain, and how to drive it in the snow, and yeah. I mean, all those things.
Even if it gets banged up.
Even if it gets banged up. We'll do the crash car, the derbies, right?
The winning car, just as an FYI, the winning car never looks like it just rolled off the showroom floor. I'm just telling you. Yeah. No,
the winning car, honestly, is usually that old Ford pickup truck.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great point.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's your article. So Carl, you and I need to write that article together.
I like that.
I mean, that's it. It's like, it doesn't have to be that shiny new car. It is. It's that one.
I'm glad you picked a Ford pickup truck or a pickup truck instead of a Pinto or something like that. I like it a lot.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, very good. Well, I'm going to close this out because we're over 30 minutes. And so I appreciate all of you. I truly do. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And Alec, thanks so much for joining. We look forward to seeing the next video.
Fun to hang out. Have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks everybody.